All right, so when we're talking Fort Collins, Colorado, it has constantly been rated the top spot to move to, not only in the state of Colorado, but also the country. But that doesn't mean a damn thing if there's not some fun stuff to do.
Yeah, which is exactly why we're going to be covering what we think is the 7 top things or fun things to do in Fort Collins, Colorado.
All right, let's go. All right, welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time watching, we are your Colorado real estate family, Pete and Chelsea Sweeney, and what we like to do is cover Denver and all of its surrounding cities, the good, the bad, sometimes inappropriate. And we love making this content for you, but even more, we love helping you with your real estate needs, licensed real estate agent, helping with you all your purchases in the state of Colorado.
Yeah, so if you want to know what it's like to either live or move here to Colorado, Denver, or any of its surrounding cities, hit that subscribe button and notification bell. We want you to be notified every single time we put a new video out. Also, we're going to put our phone number down below, so please feel free to call, text, or reach out with any of your questions.
Yeah, guys, and you're going to get us and us only when you text or call that number. You're not going to get someone else, and it's most likely going to be Chelsea. So go ahead and give us a ring or a call if you have any other questions outside of this video.
I think it's safe to say that we can go on and on about all the awesome things to do in Fort Collins, but we're going to try to narrow it down, whether that be through kind of category or just some specific things, but we're trying not to overwhelm you because Fort Collins is awesome for a reason. So first thing that we think, or one of the fun things to take advantage of, the most popular, would probably be Old Town.
Old Town Fort Collins, there's a ton of stuff to do there.
So one of the things about Old Town, we've talked about this in other videos, right? Where it's actually like was the inspiration for Disneyland Downtown Square, or the Square, which is super awesome. That's something that obviously is carried across all of Fort Collins history. But there's a lot of other things that Fort Collins does, especially in Old Town, that goes into trying to kind of preserve this historical, you know, downtown feel. So one of them is touring the Avery House. Avery House is, I guess, Frank Avery. He was responsible for the road, the wideness of the roads and all of that. They actually attribute that to him. They also do a couple things like the 1883 Waterworks tour.
So one thing that's actually one of my favorites is they do like this haunted tour, right? Where what they do is, I think it's like $25. It's about an hour and a half long, and they take you through like all the old like basements and stuff of downtown Fort Collins, and they kind of tell you like old haunted stories and stuff. And so that kind of thing really kind of gets to me. You know, I love Halloween. It's one of my favorite. I don't think it's technically a holiday, but it's one of my favorite times of year. And so it's so cool kind of having that, like, you know, with the chills and your hair standing up a little bit.
I can't imagine that. That's funny. One of the other thing too is the Municipal Railroad Society actually works with the museum to preserve the electric railway line. So you gotta check it out. It's actually really low fare. People take it around. It's just really unique and kind of keeps that like downtown historical feel. I mean, there is a reason that people refer to downtown Fort Collins as the historical downtown.
Well, and I think like something that we haven't mentioned, which is obviously one of the top things about downtown Fort Collins, is the nightlife. And that's something that we've taken advantage of quite a bit, maybe too much when we were younger. But I mean, the downtown or the nightlife in downtown Fort Collins is super cool. They have a bunch of great bars that you can kind of bar hop to. They have great places to go for a great dinner night or an adult night if you decide to leave the kids with, you know, grandparents or babysitters. So it's great that you kind of have that's just right there in the middle of your city. Yeah,
that's what I was going to kind of just take a second to talk about, is this is where a lot of your fun restaurants are going to be. Even with like that tour that we were talking about, it goes around City Park and then brings you back down to Old Town, and part of the tour is actually checking out a couple of the restaurants. And so definitely known for restaurants, shopping down there, a lot of little local boutiques, a lot of awesome things.
Well, a lot of like antique spots, great spots to buy antiques, and then like home crafted stuff too, which is super cool. Like local home crafts doing, you know, like kind of jewelry, clothes, and all that stuff. And so they did a great job of not commercializing downtown Fort Collins, which is amazing because you don't have to worry about, you know, oh, I'm going to buy this wherever I go. They have a bunch of unique shops they can go into that you can only buy in Fort Collins.
Shop local all the way, don't you think? Old Town is
hardcore.
Like hashtag shop local. But yeah, Old Town is definitely one of the number one things. So going into number two, which You might argue with us if this is actually number 1, but number 2 is the brewery.
The breweries, yeah, and they have a ton of great breweries. Obviously, some of the top ones you're looking at, you got Funkworks, which they really kind of focus a lot on sours, hence that's probably why they named it Funkworks. New Belgium, that's the top one by far. It's one of the largest microbreweries in the country. They have Fat Tire, they have those great all those great beers that I personally don't
know
yeah,
a
we
ton
don't
about beer.
We don't drink beer too often, but it's also it's great just kind of go in there and experiencing the environment. We've mentioned this in so many of our videos how awesome the environment is in breweries, and most of the time we try and find the ones that have distilleries kind of partnered up with them because we're more like vodka whiskey kind of people. So.
And not only that, but a lot of the breweries are getting kind of Colorado's a little more on the diety kind of health conscious, and so a lot of the breweries do have like gluten-free options, and they whether they make it or not, or they bring it in as like your guest beer. A lot of them are really stepping up. They'll have some of the seltzers in the fridge for all of us.
A lot of seltzer
weirdos.
snobs in Colorado. And I will say that like Fort Collins, they still have that great beer community, right? In this last few years, seltzers have taken over beer so much recently, but there's so many people who appreciate the craft of brewing your own beer in Fort Collins, and you're really going to find that environment when you do all the brewery tours. Yeah, and so it's great being able to do that. Even if you aren't into beer, it's still something great to experience that environment.
The other thing too is a lot of the breweries are, because it's such a local hangout spot, and not just like to go get dinner, like people will hang out there for hours on end. They are making it, a lot of them are pet friendly. So speaking of pet friendly, here comes Bronx. That's our dog. He's 10, he's almost 11 now.
Yeah, he's become an old man.
Anyways, he's gonna come hang out with us. What was I saying? Oh, the dog. So everything is like starting to become a lot more pet friendly, which is really nice. They have outdoor areas where you could bring your pet, and I think a lot of people, that just shows like, hey, come and stay for a while, bring your pet, hang out, and that's just the kind of culture they're trying to make right there. So okay, what's number 3?
So number 3, we're actually going to break this into a 2-part segment, pretty much. So it's essentially 3 and 4 is your outdoor activities. And then the great thing about Fort Collins is, yes, they do have great summer activities, but they also have great winter activities, and that's something they can really take advantage of in Fort Collins. I don't know how many times we've talked about how great the outdoor activities are in Fort Collins. We just did one on Colorado Springs, same thing. Colorado has always been known as an outdoor state, and these are cities that really embrace that, and they have a ton of activities that you can do, whether it be wintertime, summertime.
So let's break in. So number 3, we're going to focus mainly on summer. So some of the summer stuff. So we've already talked about this before. If you haven't checked out our other Fort Collins videos, please go check them out. We do cover a lot of content, from neighborhoods to things to do, things like that. But these are the top ones, and one of them is biking. This is a large biking community. It has some kind of platinum status that Peter and I still don't understand because we're not huge bikers.
So it's like, I tried kind of really digging into this, what that platinum status means. And I think essentially what it means is the support from the city towards bikers. So we're talking, bike lanes, kind of how to park your bike, all these different variables that are linked into it. So like how many trails they have, how many miles of trails.
Okay. 285 miles, right, of trails. Hiking trails, biking trails, all of that. Like, that's huge. And I'm glad you said that. Actually, if you're a local and you're watching this, please respond down below if you're into biking. And Peter and I don't have a ton of experience in bike. I mean, Peter has biked in the mountains, but I don't have very little experience. I have very little. So please respond below if you have something to say about this biking community, because we do know it's a very big thing and that they're super proud of it, and we want them to be able to express themselves. Okay, so hiking, biking, whitewater rafting.
Whitewater rafting, yeah. So if you go up the Cache de Poudre, so like the Poudre River, great whitewater rafting. And the thing about it, I think we take advantage of this, like being locals of Colorado, is that we don't realize how seldom that you have whitewater rafting in other states, right? It's like that's something that we're just kind of like, oh yeah, so and so's going whitewater rafting. Or it's always been super common to us since we did grow up in Colorado, and so that's something that's huge. It's like whitewater rafting. It's amazing. You did it up in Glenwood Springs, and so it's like that's something great. If you want to experience it you've never experienced before, highly recommend it.
I have to say, I'm not trying to be distracted, but my dog is I wish I could show you right now, but I have the thing on a tripod. He's just chilling with us right now.
He's just being a lover.
He heard us talking about dogs.
I think he missed us a little bit. We just got back from a trip. We're getting another Airbnb property out of state, and so I think he missed us a little bit.
Maybe.
Even though we were only gone 3 days, he's like...
We don't have a lot of room between us and this camera, and he has squished himself in there.
Yep.
Did that dog just say hi there?
Oh, yes.
Bruh!
My name is Doug. I have just met you, and I love you.
What?
Okay, so let's break into the winter stuff. So one of the best things about Fort Collins is it isn't just, good for one season, like Peter had mentioned, mainly because, and we're going to get into this later, but Horsetooth and some of the hills and stuff. So speaking on the winter sports though, you can do snowshoeing, you can do, they actually ride bikes in the wintertime. They just put on those big fat tires. I don't know what they're called, but the big fat tires, and you'll see people out there like getting extreme in the snow on their bike with these big fat tires. There's a couple different hot springs as you kind of get a little bit towards up in the mountains and all of that. But the hot springs is a great way to enjoy the winter time, and especially with Fort Collins being at the foothills and into the mountains, you get to experience all the mountain Colorado winter sports as well.
I mean, obviously, what is Colorado known for? Skiing and snowboarding, right? It's not directly in Fort Collins, but you have access to so many worldwide top ski spots just within an hour, 2 hours, depending on where you decide to go. But I mean, that's probably the biggest winter activity to do. Like I said, not inside Fort Collins, but just near and around Fort Collins.
The other thing too is if you have kiddos, you're in the foothills, so go check out some of those hills, just these local hills.
Go sledding. You got to go do it.
Yes, take those.
You got to rub that. You got to rub that. What did what's the name do on Christmas vacation? You got to rub that oil or that special Teflon stuff on the bottom of your sled. See how fast you can go.
Remember, don't try this at home, kids. I am a professional. Later, dudes. Let her rip. Hang pen.
That's the difference. He's an adrenaline junkie, and I put my kids in this whole suit so that nobody can move, and even if they did get hurt or fall, they would not get hurt because they're in this big pillow. Anyways, so number 4. Oh, okay, Bubba.
All right.
Hold on, we gotta move the pup. Okay, that was 4. So number 5, let's talk about one of the big ones. Okay, we were thinking about how are we gonna put this topic in here. We were gonna narrow it down by some of the top things, and then we're no, forget it. Fort Collins is known for some of its events. I just got dog hair. Okay, Bub. Okay, Bubba. There are a bunch of events, so much so that there's even a website that you can go visit. It's actually called visitfortcollins.com.
Yeah.
And it is there.
We'll put it in the description below. So if you want to check it out, we'll put it. You go in and click on down there.
Yes, and there was 400 pages. So whether it was doing this home cooking with your kids, where they have four times a week they do this event where they teach your kids or however to home cook with your kids and do all these different things, or kids cook for you, all the way to some of the biggest events that Fort Collins are known for, like Tour de Fat. Tour
de Fat. They have a great St. Patty's event that they do up there. They do the beer fest, so the brew fest. So you're talking about microbrews and stuff. Is held for Colorado. Is held in Fort Collins, and so it's super awesome incorporating that old town again, right? So it's a lot of these events are held in Old Town, and so when it comes to events, they are always doing some crazy events. And here's another thing about them too, is they're not adult focused, right? They always do such a great job about incorporating different activities for kids to kind of keep entertained as well too.
Lots.
So it's not just this huge drunk fest for adults, you know? It might get like that a little bit later in the night, but
right.
They do a great job of having those activities for kids so that the kids can kind of do their things too.
I mean, even just unscheduled events, or just things to do, talking on the things to do with kids. They have the water, what is that water thing called that Kingston's
splash
first
pad.
time? The splash pad.
Yep.
They just have a lot of little things to do. So maybe you are doing an event local or by, and you just bring the swimsuit and you have the kids playing in the water. So there's just so many things you can do that incorporates the whole family, whether you have kids, don't have kids, whether you have pets, you don't have pets. They have something for everyone.
Yeah, that's true. All right, I think we skipped one.
Oh, what did we skip?
Horsetooth.
Oh, the big one.
This is the biggest one. Say, when we were growing up, we always went to Fort Collins because of Horsetooth.
Yes.
They have great camping up there. Obviously, they have all your recreation. So, you have your power boats, you have your sailboats, you have your paddle boarding, you have your kite, all kinds of crazy good stuff.
Things.
They go up to Horsetooth and have that recreation that you kind of want, lake life, right?
Yeah,
lake
and
life.
it's such a big lake that you have swim areas that are, you can't camp at. There's little areas of the lake that you can. There's also rentals. So we went up with my babes group. We do a women's empowerment group, and we went up and they rented paddleboards. They taught you how to paddleboard, and then there's these little coves that you can get off of, kind of a wave. You do not want to paddleboard next to these boats. We tried to go from one to the ramp to the little cove, and we were just getting extreme on the paddleboards. But they teach you how to paddleboard. If you've never paddleboarded, you can do rentals out there. I mean, it has everything. It's a large enough lake that people are opening shops all around it to really support that lake life.
And that, on that topic right there, if you are moving into Colorado and you've never lived in Colorado, I highly, highly recommend getting a paddleboard. Our good friends just got some paddleboards too, because they always borrowed us. They're amazing and such a great time. You can just go out, do some good stuff on the lake, have some good fun. Yeah,
so
bring the kids out. Like we always bring our kids on ours, and they just like hang out and chill. And make sure you got your life vest on, of course. But
safety first.
Yep.
Yes, Horsetooth is huge, and then again, everything around Horsetooth. It's not just on the water; it's the hiking and the walking trails and all of that. So.
Oh, you remember that one time that our friends wanted to go camping? It was a kind of like an offshoot in Horsetooth, so it's kind of treacherous to get to. And we had a little teardrop camper, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you go. We'll build a raft, and we'll float across Horsetooth to go to this campsite." Now, at first I thought they were joking, but they were legit serious. They like had these whole architectural plans drawn up to throw our little teardrop on it and then float it over to this campsite.
It definitely, some of the campsites are, they're walk-in campsites, some of them.
Yeah.
So you have to think about that if you have like a
backpack in, you got to make sure you have large enough backpack. And
also just that you can't drive back there. So if you're used to, now we're glampers. We used to not be glampers, everybody. We were tenters. We did it all.
We went from like a tent to a teardrop, and the teardrop was amazing.
We were like,
what? We got a kitchen off the back. Yeah, it was amazing.
We can cook coffee coffee. We could cook and make coffee. And then now we're glampers because we had 2 children.
I used to always talk so much crap about anyone who had like a trailer to camp in.
But
now there's no way I could ever go back. I'm just like,
and they told us that too. They told us that too.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like when you don't have kids and you're like, just wait till you have kids, and you look at them, you're like, I will not do that. And you do all the things.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go into the last one.
So the last one, and this one is kind of, I feel like it's, it's like, do I like doing this or not, or whatever.
Yeah, you have to be into it. But most people who are in Fort Collins are into it. That's the thing.
Okay, yeah.
So Fort Collins, obviously, is home to the CSU Rams.
Yep.
Okay, so
Colorado State University.
Most people, to be honest with you, and not all, so I'm just going to kind of blanket statement it, but if you're living in a college town, most likely you follow all the college sports, okay? So whether it's the football or what are the other
The volleyball, the basketball.
Yeah. So whether it's any of those, like most of the time, they're going to those events over traveling all the way down to Denver for your professional sports. That's not to say that everybody's like that.
Yeah.
But if you are in a college town, you just can't help but to kind of get wrapped up in it because all of the memorabilia and all of the different, the college students doing all the different events for fundraising and all of that. If either you like it or you don't, but if you like it, a lot of people are spending a lot of the times getting kind of, especially if you have children, adult children.
Shut up!
They're like adults, right? It's 18.
I was like, adult children, like hanging with the rents or what?
Well, because like they're not, they're like college
How about
students.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Yeah,
like they're still adults.
They're little adults.
I felt like I was an adult in college. Whatever. If you have kids who are older, you are going to these sports. You're supporting the teams, and it's a big culture there.
Well, it's a lot of fun too going to the games. Like I've been to a few football games up there. It's just a lot of fun. Great energy. I just love you going there, and the energy is just. It's so crazy how high it is, It's just screaming, yelling, just such a good time.
Yeah. So most people who are there are somewhat involved in some of the college sports and watching it and getting involved and supporting and fundraising and all the stuff. So
very cool. All right.
Okay. Did we do it all?
I think we did.
I think that was 7. That's hard to narrow it down to 7, you guys. It's super hard to narrow it down to 7. That's why we had to put groups in there.
Well, I mean, Fort Collins, like I said, it's such a fun city. I mean, there's a big reason why it is blowing up the way it is. It's not only is it a great spot to live, but there's also so many great things to do inside of Fort Collins.
Yeah, so if you are new to our channel, please let us know if there's certain topics that you want us to cover. We are doing this all for you, and so we go to all the different cities surrounding Denver and in Denver to make sure that you are the most up to date with what's going on here if you move to Colorado.
All right, guys. Until next time, we love you. Bye.
Bye.
In regards to Colorado. That's not right.
Website, okay.
We're gonna have to cut that out.
Yeah.
Bro.
What was I saying?
Bunch of websites.
Oh yeah. Okay. So there are a bunch of
You're talking about websites.
Okay, hold on. Okay, ready?
Yep.
Okay. There are a